So I went to the doctor, and he put his finger up my butt. And I say, "Doctor, we're in the parking lot." A Jewish son tells his father he is moving out. The son returns a year later and tells his father that he has converted to Christianity. The father is upset and calls his friend who is also Jewish. "You won't believe this. My son David moved out for a year and came back and told me he converted to Christianity." His friend says, "You won't believe this. My son Benjamin moved away for a year and when he came back he converted to Christianity too." Both upset. They call their rabbi and explain what happened. The rabbi says, "You won't believe this. My son Joshua moved away and when he came back he told me he converted to Christianity too." The rabbi suggests they call God and tell him. The rabbi tells God that all three men had sons who moved away and converted to Christianity and don't know what to do. God says to them, "You won't believe this." Apple wanted to launch a new product directed at children. In retrospect, it was probably not the best idea to call it iTouch Kids. My mother taught me. My mother taught me to appreciate a job well done. If you're going to kill each other, do it outside. I just finished cleaning. My mother taught me religion. You better pray that will come out of the carpet. My mother taught me about time travel. If you don't straighten up, I'm going to knock you into the middle of next week. My mother taught me a logic. Because I said so. That's why. My mother taught me more logic. If you fall out of that swing and break your neck, you're not going to the store with me. My mother taught me foresight. Make sure you wear clean underwear, in case you're in an accident. My mother taught me irony. Keep crying, and I'll give you something to cry about. My mother taught me about the science of osmosis. Shut your mouth and eat your supper. My mother taught me about contortionism. Will you look at that dirt on the back of your neck? My mother taught me about patience. You'll sit there until all that spinach is gone. My mother taught me about weather. This room of yours looks as if a tornado went through it. My mother taught me about hypocrisy. If I told you once, I've told you a million times. Don't exaggerate. My mother taught me the circle of life. I brought you into this world, and I can take you out. My mother taught me about behavior modification. Stop acting like your father. My mother taught me about envy. There are millions of less fortunate children in this world who don't have wonderful parents like you do. My mother taught me about anticipation. Just wait until we get home. My mother taught me about receiving. You are going to get it when you get home. My mother taught me medical science. If you don't stop crossing your eyes, they are going to freeze that way. My mother taught me especially. Put your sweater on. Don't you think I know when you are cold? My mother taught me humor. When that lawnmower cuts off your toes, don't come running to me. My mother taught me how to become an adult. If you don't eat your vegetables, you'll never grow up. My mother taught me genetics. You're just like your father. My mother taught me about my roots. Shut that door behind you. Do you think you were born in a barn? My mother taught me wisdom. When you get to be my age, you'll understand. My mother taught me about justice. One day you'll have kids, and I hope they turn out just like you. While visiting a distant relative I hadn't visited in years, I asked my mom's cousin George for his Wi-Fi password. He said, "Start with an uppercase S, then 123. As soon as George had left to do an errand, I tried to log on to his Wi-Fi. But every time I typed S123, it wouldn't work. After 2 hours of failure, George came back. I told him, "I used the password you told me to use, but it never worked. Can you log on to the Wi-Fi for me?" George typed the password into my computer, and sure enough, it worked. Then he said, "I have no idea why you find it so hard to type *123. Please smash the like button, and subscribe to my channel.